Hey, and welcome back to part 2 of our series. Today we are going to be learning over the basic movements and some of the basic commands and tools that we use here in Space Engineers. So in the last episode, we were able to launch our first game, and we're here on the moon, and we talked through some of the settings with that. So we're in our lunar rover. So we press the V key, and the V key is how we're going to be switching between third person and first person. And then if we press the Alt key, we can free look, and we can scroll with the scroll wheel on your mouse to go in and out. And then we're going to go back in here, we can press Alt in here, we can look around, there's my body, and we're in this little pod here. So we're going to press F, which is right in the center of the screen. It says leave the cockpit. So we're going to press F to leave, and now we're out, and we're going to press WASD and spacebar to jump. And C is to crouch, which are all pretty normal. So kind of going over some of the stuff you can see on my screen. If I look up, left hand side, you can see there's a helmet. That is our helmet mask. So if we're in our oxygen rich environment, we don't need that. X is our jetpack, which we can use. Press X and we fly around. And then O is our transmitter, L is our lights. So you can see if I come over here where it's dark, I can turn it on and off, which is useful when we're mining. Then we have our health, our oxygen, our power, and our H2, which is how our jetpack. Then towards the center we have our toolbar, which if I press 1, 2, and 3, or any of the numbers, we get different stuff. So we're going to start with 2. This is our grinder. And this grinder is how we use to destroy stuff or to essentially get stuff from, if we find stuff, we can use it. So like, for example, if I hover over this light armor piece, it has a health bar on the right hand side and it's at 100%. If I grind that, you can see it's starting to drop. And it has what it's made out of, which it's got a steel plate is what it's made out of. And you can see now it's gone. So that's pretty much the welder summed up. So we're going to now talk about number 1, which is our welder. Because that first one was our grinder, now we're on our welder. What the welder does is it builds up the stuff. So if I press 4, I can put a new block in because I have that steel plate in my inventory, and I'm going to press 1. So you pressed 4 to place it, and you left click, and press 1 to come back, and we're going to weld that up. And then our last thing that we have is our number 3, which is our drill. The drill is a little bit different because there's 2 commands, but we're going to find a better spot to kind of drill with this. I don't like necessarily drilling down to begin with, so I'm going to press F into the cockpit, and we've got WASD like we had before. I'm going to go into third person so you can kind of see how that works. We've got our wheels that rotate when we press when we press A and D. And we're going to drive across the lunar surface, kind of over where these mountains are, just to give some easier way to access rock. So as you can see, I'm not traveling super fast on the moon. With low gravity, you don't get a whole lot of friction, and so it's just when you're first starting out, you never know the terrain you're driving over, so you kind of want to go slow. So we're going to get over here to this rock face, or these hills, just to give us something to drill into the side of instead of crouching down and drilling straight down, and then sometimes you have to use your jetpack to get out of your hole, which isn't worth it. So right now I don't have my hands on WASD, and you can see that we're kind of coasting in. As we're coming in, I can press P, which turns on our parking brake for this, and I'm going to get out. Now we're back to the drill. There's 2 commands with the drill. The drill, you can right click, which then just gets rid of material extremely fast. Whereas if you left click, it starts to drop stuff, but it doesn't disappear as fast. As you can see, there's these stone pieces coming out, and you press F to pick them up. Secret with this being, if you're drilling, you just pull down F and you left click in order to pick stuff up. Okay, other things about the drill. Cool features about it. The drill has an internal ore detector that allows you to to see stuff. So that what we've picked up, so I'm going to show you the K menu, which is our inventory. You can see I've picked up some stone so far, but there's other things besides stone that we pick up, like iron and cobalt and platinum and uranium and that sort of stuff. So I'm going to kind of do a little brief binding thing, just because I don't want to encompass as much as I can in such a short time. So as you can kind of see right here, there might be this yellowish patch. It's a little easier in daylight, so we might have to show this again. Actually, we are going to fly over here, hopefully catch some daylight before it goes dark, and hopefully find a patch. Now there's shadows, but there's one right there too. But what those patches are patches of ore. They're veins of ore, essentially. So as I get close down here, I'm going to coast in. You can see that within the short range, there's nickel down there. So I can right click. Since I'm drilling straight down, I have to press C to crouch to get close enough. I can right click, and it removes the material extremely fast. Once you get down a ways, you want to use your lights in order to see. But that's a prime example of what this ore detector is capable of. It will find stuff at short ranges, and as you can see, we're flying away and now we can't see it anymore. So that is the basics of those three main tools, and you end up using these tools for pretty much everything. Eventually you can get ship tools that are the exact same as these hand tools. It just means you can use them at a faster rate. Okay, going back into our K menu real fast. So this is our personal inventory. I can also go back here, and there's this on our rover. We have it says open terminal. I can press K, and so now we have our control panel, which discusses lists everything that is within this group of blocks, or this rover. Sometimes they hide things. But so if you choose when you're building a ship, you don't hide stuff, you don't have to worry about that. But sometimes these lists can get extremely long. There's an ore detector on here, and you can see the range is about 50 meters. But there's up here at the top, we have our inventory, and this is our survival kit. The survival kit at the beginning of the game is the end-all be-all for everything that we do, just because I can take things like stone and enter them into the survival kit. That is a simple way to move in between our player inventory and our block inventories. We just drag it across. And then, so depending on how big our stuff goes, we can click over here and we can see everything within the ship. We can't necessarily drag stuff across depending on the size of it, but we'll get later into that in a later tutorial. But with what we do with our stone, is in the survival kit. This is not the case with everything else. When we do iron and nickel and all that sort of stuff, we don't have to do this, but we need to queue up stuff so we can see our production queue. I'm going to place some ingots in there, so I'm going to just left click, and we can see that it's created some iron, some nickel, and some silicon. I can press shift to get 100. I can press control to get 10 as I'm clicking here, or I can press control and shift and get thousands. So at the beginning, I normally queue up quite a bit because stone is extremely useless, except for when it's in these components. So you might as well just have that running whenever you're not needing it for other things. But also in there, we can see there is some other stuff we can build, which we'll get into the next tutorial about building stuff. Awesome. So that is the three basic tools we have, and the K menu, which talks about, well, if you aren't inside of a block, you can't actually use the control panel. I'm looking at a block. We don't have the control panel or the production. There are GPS things, which we'll get into later dates when we start moving around a little further out, and there's some factions and some info about different blocks that we have out there. But we're not going to be worrying about that at this point. That is all I have for this episode, where we're just going to go over the tools that we use in here in Space Engineers. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please come back for part 3, where we're going to be discussing building our first base section, and we'll be talking a little bit more about different building blocks of Space Engineers. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and put any comments of things you'd like to see in the bottom as we go into further tutorials. Thanks and have a great day.